Hello, everybody, and good afternoon and/or good evening for the folks over yonder across the pond or down under. Thank you for each and every one of you for being here and hanging out a little bit today. We are going, or tonight, or last night, or tomorrow night. I don't know. The time zones are confusing. Uh, anyway, I'm going to be talking about a couple of things today, a couple of things that have come up this week. One of them was a little bit challenging. Andy threw me a little bit of a curveball. I knew that the ability was in Lightburn, but I had to go find it because I've never used it. I have read about it and forgot about it. But I thought, especially for this time slot, I think this might be something that might come in a little bit more handy over in the UK. You guys might run into this a little bit more often than we do here in the US, given the amount of immigration that you guys are under, and the immigrants that you're dealing with are different than our immigrants here. um, so Andy was working on a project that he was trying to create a piece that had a prayer, a Jewish prayer, and was going to be in Hebrew. And in Hebrew, the text reads from right to left instead of from left to right. And same thing with a lot of the Islamic text and Arabic text. And if you put everything in Lightburn as is, and you try to do right to left, flip it, mirror it, well, you just get mirrored images. It doesn't work. You have to have the correct settings in Lightburn in order to do right to left text and have everything show up as it's supposed to. And I'm going to show you how easy that is. We're going to do that. And then also, Jim, I haven't been looking at the comments. Jim reached out to me for, I'm going to mark this spot. All right, so there's my mark in the comment thread. Jim reached out to me this week and asked me about needing some help on a logo that had two interlocking, overlapping. They were interlocking and overlapping. It's a really unique logo that someone had created. And he's like, I want to do these two, but I don't, and it needs to be engraved. And I want them to be very distinct letters, and I don't want one showing up under the. So how do I do this? And I'm like, okay, well, that'd be a good subject matter. So we'll look at that as well. Again, thank you all for being here, and we're not going to waste a whole lot of time. We're going to jump right over into Lightburn, and if you've asked any questions or posted any questions prior to me putting that mark in the thread there, I'm not going to scroll back up and see those. So, and once I get done here, we'll do open Q&A and we'll address any questions of stuff that we go over today and or questions in general. But text, right to left text. In order, in fact, I need to, let's see, we'll get rid of this. All right, in order to enable the ability for right to learn text in Lightburn, it's really challenging. If you go into your gears, and down here at the bottom of the gears, on the very bottom left, turn this on. It says enable right to left text support. And say okay. Now, that's not what you got to do. That's just enabling the ability to do it. Once you turned that on, it turned on this option right up here, right to left text. So if you turn that on, actually, once you get a font, you get something on the screen. And then you can check, okay, I want right to left text. And that will, whenever you go to edit your text and do whatever, it will keep all of your punctuation correct. It'll keep the letters right. It won't mirror the actual letters themselves. But Andy tried his best, multiple attempts to recreate it. And I have never worked with it before, but I said, yeah, there's a way to do it. Let me refresh my noggin. And I said, oh yeah, Yeah, here it is. And at first, I thought you actually had to be using an Arabic text or an Arabic language, and it would automatically do the right to left. I'm like, nah, 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 that's not it. So you can use your existing fonts, or you can bring in, Arabic. I forget how Andy said he brought his in, but enabling it in the gears and then going up underneath the font and turn it on, and that will keep all of your right to left text from getting mirrored and flipped and reversing the image, the letters. And I think even when he had the text in there correctly, right to left, when you looked at it, and he was trying to bend the text on a curve, as soon as you bend that text, it would flip everything. It was strange. It's like he didn't tell it to flip, but he took that regular text, and then when you bend it on a circle, all of the words immediately mirrored themselves. So, but when you do the right to left text and all of those problems went away. So that one was a quick and easy. And like I said, it's not something that's going to come up very, very often. It's one of these rare occasions, but it's good to know. Okay. In fact, you can go in and turn that option on and just leave it on. And then when you don't need it, you just turn that option off up here. So there it's off, but it's always there if I need it. And that way, 6 months from now, when you're going, I remember Hobo saying there was a way to do that, but I don't remember how you do that. Well, what was that video? When did he talk about that? Just go in there and enable it, and it's there. And so whenever you need it, there it is to turn it on. It's no big deal to have it open. All right, so that was a quick and easy for demo for here, but it wasn't that quick and easy for Andy or myself to get it all figured out. But we got there. Next, this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. You get requests from folks all the time where they're asking you, can you recreate this? Can you do this? And you're like, well, yeah, I can do that. I just need you to send me the image or send me, good quality work. And they send you something that's, obviously it's not Lightburn compatible. You're like, okay. What am I going to do? I've committed myself, and they take a picture with their 1979 Polaroid camera and send it to you via fax. They expect you to be able to do something with that. Extremely low resolution, and you're like, now what? Well, I'm going to show you how you can do a little bit of you can do a whole lot with a little bit. This one, in fact, let me clear this up. If you know the right tricks, you can breathe life into an image that otherwise would not have any life. So this one, Jim, like I said, let me just scroll through here, see if I see Jim's name. I told him I'd be doing this in today's stream. He may get it on the replay, or yeah, I don't see him here right now, but Jim sent me an image and an email request. This is one of many that I received this week. And his email simply says, switch. Says, hope all is well. Looking for a way to engrave OB on 2 different power levels. The O dark, the B much lighter. Needless to say, I don't want the black under the gold and the gold under the black. Any ideas? And that's all I've got. And I'm like, wait a minute, something's missing. And I'm like, okay, what? I didn't scroll down far enough. I scroll down far enough. There it is. There's the image, but it's a Word doc. And if I click on it and open it up, you can see it's extremely low resolution. And it's not in a Lightburn form or any way that you can use that. And then so I'm like, okay, well, and that's probably what he was provided. So how do you get that into Lightburn, and how do you make something out of that low resolution image and then create the separation and the definition. Because here's what happens. If we go back over here and I go to Lightburn, if I just grab my text tool, I forget there's text. I went mine dead, brain dead for a minute. I put an OB in here. There's my OB, and that's kind of close to that font, not exact, but close. That O had something that looped around and it had a little overlapping on the B. But if you take this and you bring the horizontal space down so that you overlap the O and the B, we'll get it in close proximity to what theirs was. It was actually about like that. So now if I put this in fill mode now, and if I go to my preview screen, that is what you would get even if you had a perfect recreation of that text and engraved that out in one power level. And he's like, yeah, I want to be able to see each individual letter. They're overlapping one another. And I don't want to have a double engraved image. I don't where they overlap. If he does a really light or a dark O, I don't remember which one's dark, which one's light. He's a dark O and a light B. Well, if you engrave that O really, really dark and then do a light B, you'll see that dark part of the O under there. So how do you get all those separated? How do you create that definition? So that's the journey we're going to go on today. So Jim is here. Okay. Hey, Jim. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit of a journey, and Yahoo! You always have other options. There's always other ways to do something. This is just my way of approaching this one. The more I did some of this stuff, I might find more and more shortcuts. And it's not about, it's not always about how you get there, as long as you get there, right? And so, again, I don't like to preach, this is the way you do this, and this is how you do it. Your way is wrong if you do it any other way. And so, yeah, hopefully you'll see something and you go, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, or you might say, you know what? I always welcome feedback and say, you know what? You could have done this another way. But we're going to go in and recreate from that low quality, low resolution image from a Word doc, bring it into Lightburn and recreate that almost exactly or as perfectly as it possibly can be done, given what we have to work with. So how do I do that? Well, first, let's get rid of all of this. And I'm going to go back over to my Word doc. Now, I'm not going to bother downloading this Word doc or anything. I just opened it up. This is the email attachment that I just opened up to view. Now I'm going to hit, and for you Apple users, Mac users out there, sorry, I don't know what this shortcut would be for you, but I'm going to use the snipping tool. And for Microsoft, for Windows users, it's the Window key, the Shift key, and the letter S. So Windows Shift S. So I'm holding Windows, Shift, and S. And that brings up my snipping tool, and I want to bring it over here. Well, I can't put it on the other screen. But Windows Shift S will create my snipping tool. And if I take, and you can't see the snipping tool online, but my cursor has turned into a big crosshair. And now and it's not showing up on the video. That stinks. I'm just drawing a box around that OB Ohio Banquets, and there it's copied that onto my clipboard. All right. And I wished you could have seen all that, but I didn't realize it wouldn't show up. All right. So now by using the Windows key, Windows Shift S, it opened up my snipping tool. I drew a rectangle around this piece and released it, and it copied that to the clipboard. So now all I got to do is I'll minimize this, go back over into Lightburn, and I'm going to right click and paste. And there it is. Boom, meow. Done. I got that. Oh, it did show up? Okay, great. On my end, Sharon, it didn't look like any of that was showing up. I know the control part was off screen, but I'm glad that that showed up. More important, you've seen how easy it was. Just draw a circle or drew that rectangle out. It went straight to clipboard, went into Lightburn, right click and paste. And now that's in Lightburn. Done. Now it's not laserable. It's still very low resolution. And I've got to now use that clip art to transform it into something nice. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to blow it up a little bit. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to try and trace this out as much as possible. But you see, as low resolution that it is, it's very, very pixelated. Very, very pixelated. And even to help maybe show up a little bit, I'm going to adjust the image first. And I'm going to try and darken this up a little bit. Increase my gamma. And that darkens that B up. Maybe increase the contrast. Nope, decrease the contrast. No, that didn't help. Just increasing the gamma is my best bet. That darkened up that B quite a bit. I darken it, that don't help nothing. That don't help nothing. So just increasing the gamma. There we go. And say okay. And now trace. But you notice it doesn't pick everything up. So now I've got to start playing with my thresholds and cutoffs. And I'm not worried about Ohio banquets down here. That's going to be a whole nother ball of wax, or Jim, because he specifically just said he's wanting the O and the B. So I'm going to focus on getting all of the O and B. And it looks like I've got all of the O more or less, but it's not picking up the B at all. Because in here, what it's picking up is the O and not the letter B. So I'm going to increase my tolerance. There we go. And now I'm starting to get most of everything. But what happened by increasing that to get that letter B, the inner part of the O disappeared. That disappeared. So I'm going to play with it a little more and increase my cutoff. All right, I'm starting to get a little something there that's workable. It's not the right, it's creating an inward offset, but I can work with that as long as I'm starting to get all my pieces. I've got the most, in fact, I'm going to work with that. It's not great, but it's not great because we're starting with a low resolution image, and that B in this image is really dark at the top and fades out to next to nothing. So that even messes with the adjustment part of, so, but I believe I'm going to make this work. Is the stemming tool the same as print screen? Possibly, but print screen, you're printing the whole screen. And I didn't want that whole thing. All I wanted was just, I could have actually just drawn a little box around the OB, and that's all it would have brought in, was just that piece. So it's just a little bit more, you're able to snip exactly what you want. But it works the same in the same way as print screen. It clips it, puts it on the clipboard, and then you can paste it wherever you need. And Mac, or Sharon says, in Mac or iOS, it's a screenshot. Well, yes and no, because this isn't the same thing as a screenshot. It's you're actually able to get just that designated area that you select. All right, and I'm guessing Mac or iOS might have something similar. In fact, who knows? Windows might have copied it from their ability to do it. But back over here, let's try and make this into something nice. So switch. And like I said, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to work with this. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to say, okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is, actually, I need to ungroup it. I want to get rid of the Ohio stuff. I didn't even have to select that in my selection. I could have picked out just the OB. That's garbage right there. Get rid of it. All right. Now, what I need to look at. This obviously is not the correct shape, but I wanted that because that's how far that came over into the B. And I'm going to be able to use that. That's kind of like an inward offset of that O. And I'm just going to do just the opposite of that. I'm going to do an offset outward until it matches up with the other piece. So we're going to go to, no, we'll do 2.2 maybe. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We'll start there, 2.2, and delete the original. Say okay. So now that's giving me that overlap about the size that I need it to be. All right. Now I need to separate my B and my O. And this is the side of the B. And this piece right here doesn't need to be there at all. It needs just to come over to here. So this is going to take some little bit of work, but it's going to be pretty simple. But I want to go back to the original image. Let's see here. So it looked to me like the B is going inside the letter O at the top and go away. And it's on top of it here. And the letter O is over that tip of that B. So the O overlaps the bottom and the top. But then this part right here overlaps the B. So there's a little bit of stacking going on. And like I said, here, what I was talking about, this is all filled solid O on both sides. And that piece that I've got is going to take some work to make that a solid piece and keep the O and the B separate. But this is not going to be difficult. Now, what I'm going to do, first thing, is I'm going to try and get rid of a lot of these wiggly lines. Let's see. You can adjust the size before you save it. You don't know what we're talking about there, Sharon. Quick Google search tells me on Mac snip tool is Command Shift 4. Okay, there you go. So Command Shift 4 gives you your snipping ability instead of doing a full screenshot. Thank you, Andrew. Command Shift 4. And on Windows, it's the Windows Shift S. And S is for snipping. Windows Shift S is your snipping tool in Windows, and Command Shift 4 is your snipping in Windows or in Mac. All right. So I want to clean up all of these squiggly wigglies. So first thing I'm going to do is select everything that's on here. And I'm going to go up here to Edit, and I'm going to say Optimize Shapes. And I wished I could zoom in. Once you open up Optimize Shapes, it's no longer alive. You can't scroll and zoom in. But I'm going to say Smooth Source Shapes, and I'm going to just, I'm almost max this thing out. And then I'm going to come down here to Fit Shapes to Arcs and clean that up a little bit, get rid of a lot of those nodes, and say OK. And now you can look, all those squigglies are gone. I got rid of all of that stuff. Done. All right. Would it be smart to put a copy of the image? Oh, we're getting ready to do that. But before I get down in here, because right now there's I wouldn't have wanted anything previous, and anything that was pre-existing, I don't know that I really would have wanted it. But now that I've started to get this cleaned up and got some nice edges on stuff, we're getting ready to do exactly what John said. We're going to make a copy of this, put it over to the side, because we're going to be using a whole lot of cut tools, but this process, I don't know that we'll be able to, because I'm going to keep modifying it. And every time I make a modification, it's no longer going to match what I had previously saved, except if I needed to go back and restart from a particular point, I wouldn't have to go all the way to the beginning. So, but yeah, right now though, I'm just about to that point where I'm going to make that copy and kind of bookmark where I am in the process. So, all right. So like I said, I got that cleaned up and got rid of all the wiggly squigglies. I do have this as an extra piece in there, but I needed that because that's where I'm going to create my overlapping O over the B. And I need to make this part of the B continue out over here. And so, all right, let's do exactly that. We're going to duplicate that and we'll bring it right over here. So now, first thing I'm going to do is I want to get all my lines lined up. See how this is over here and this is over here? Well, this is part of that O. And whenever I did that, it was actually creating an inward offset. That's why I had to do the offset on the other piece over there. So I'm going to do the same thing on these other two pieces. Because if I bring a guideline from over here and snap it right there to that corner of that line, that's where I expect this piece to be over here. And same thing here. So if I select both of those and go to my offset tool, you can see it takes it out there. I'm not going to do a full 2 on this one. We'll do 1.8, 1.5. We'll do 1.4. There we go. And delete the original. Say okay. Now that puts that line on that B about where it needs to be. But over here on that O, the O is still needs to be a little bit bigger. That's okay. We're making progress. So I'm going to ungroup that. All right. I'm going to go back and look at the original image again. All right. That B straight across and the O cuts off that bottom of the B. So I'm going to come down here to this piece. I'm going to go to my node editing tool and I'm going to come over here and find a corner node right there. That's where it starts to turn down. And I'm going to hit the letter B for break. And now that I've got that broke, there's actually 2 nodes right there, one on top of the other. One extends down this direction, one extends out this direction. I don't know which is which, but while I'm hovering over this, I'm going to hit the letter E for extend. And then I'll hit letter E again. Oh, I didn't want to do that. That don't normally happen. Let's do Control Z to undo. All right, there we go. So that shot that one over here. So, and that's what I want to do. I want to continue that B on across. All right. And I need to keep that curve right there because that's the C that goes up through there. But I need to connect that node back over to this part of this letter C. And now I'm going to come over to this green node right here again and hit the letter E for extend again. That's going to be irrelevant because we're going to use the C to cut that off. And on this one, I'm going to come right. I'll come right here. Well, I'll come on down toward the bottom of that arc. Letter I for insert, letter B for break, E to extend that goes that way, and the E to extend it takes it that way. That shows me that that one's the one that comes in this direction. So now I can take that node and connect it there. Connect it. There we go. And this one, I'm going to set up here for right now. So that gives me the B going in that direction with an overlap in the C. And okay, yeah, Randy, that would be a good idea. But I'm guessing you've never had to work with a customer and ask them, Hey, can you tell me what font you used on your logo that you created 5 years ago? They don't know. They ain't got a clue. They didn't even have anything to do with it. They paid somebody at a minute press to create something. And yeah, it'd be nice. And honestly, if it was something that was fairly new, what would your ideal is be, you know what? Okay, yeah, you didn't create it, but you had this print shop do it. That print shop has your information on file. In today's world, everything's saved electronically. Could you have them forward me the clip art of what, a digital rendition of the, but you can't get that stuff. My best buddy's cousin's brother had a print shop 4 years ago, and they did that, and he did everything by hand, and they didn't use a computer, and it's all gone. They went out of business, or they had a fire. In the real world, or in the ideal world, it would be great. You get that font ID and just yeah, piece of cake. But you don't always have that. 90% of the time, you're not going to have that. But people expect you to produce, a Picasso out of a piece of over watered down clay that's never going to maintain its shape, or they wanted a Michelangelo. It's people have unrealistic expectations and give you crap to work with. And this is not Jim's fault that it's a very poor image. It's what he was provided. Um, I meant a copy of the original image to interface off of. Oh well, yeah, yeah, and that don't hurt either. That way I ain't got to flip back and forth between screens. And since I have it on my clipboard, all I got to do is come out here and just come over here and right. Got to go into my selector tool, right click and paste. Paste. There we go. So now, yeah, now I don't have to go flipping around the screens. Good suggestion, John. Yeah, and Jim says he looked for the font and no luck. And like I said, the Bell MT was close, but it didn't have the squirrely O on there. And I could, I could get really close by bringing in the capital B from the Bell MT font, and then do my best to recreate just the O on here. But it's doing little things like this, is the tedious, aggravating jobs that you start to learn how to manipulate the nodes and be able to force or form the shapes in the pieces that you need when you need to. Because yeah, there will be that 10% of the time that you can grab the original fonts, or they've got a good digital image, but the majority of the time you're not going to have it. And if you want the ability to, take and make something nice out of nothing, it's really good to learn how to use and get familiar with the node editing. But that was a good suggestion, John. Bring that in here and not have to go back and forth looking for it. I'm done with that toolpath for right now. I'll get rid of that. So here, all right, let's see where I'm at. Go into node editing. All right. That little bit of a squirrel got me distracted about where I'm at connecting these. All right, looks like I need to break this right here, go into node editing. And I'm on B for break. And I don't know which is which, so I'll just extend it. That one goes out there. That's up there. I can grab that one and bring, okay, there. So there's that. In fact, I'll just bring that. Where is, okay, there's that. All right. I'm going to delete this one, letter D, and dadgummit, B for break. There we go. And here I could use the scissor. No, I can't because they're not. That's not two open lines. So B for break. Let's connect those two. Break there. Connect it there. Get that out of the way. All right. So there's that B connected at the bottom. That's why is that connected? Oh, because it's connected up here at the top. I need to break this apart up here. Node editing. B for break. E for extend. That extended that one that way. That one will extend this one that way. There we go. And come back down here. I'm going to B for break and E for extend. And break, E for extend. Again, there we go. All right. So I'm going to drag that one up here. So I've got it separated, got that one. I'll drag that one over here. I want to keep it above that area right there. And connect those. Now, when I select the B, I should get just the B. Yeah. So there, I've got the outline of the B separated from the rest of that. Now I need to fix this letter C. And, oh, no, I don't have it. Oh, because that's got to come. All right. Now what I'm going to do, and I hope I'm not making you dizzy, I'm going to grab a toolpath and just bring that over here to line it up with that line. Go into node editing, and I'm going to snap this node onto that toolpath. Then I'm going to come down here and snap this node onto that toolpath. And I'm going to get rid of every other node. Actually, those are part of that curve, so no, I'm not. I'm going to B for break it right here, B for break. And I'm going to get rid of these. Letter D for delete. That gives me that point there. And then I'm going to come up here to this one and B for break. And get rid of that. Now I'll just drag that node all up. I didn't want to do that. Extend it. Letter E. It's going to shoot it straight. Actually, I need to tell that to be a corner. Get rid of that right, or make it put it right on the line. And E for extend. There we go. And E for extend again and again. And now I can grab it and connect it there. And edit. All right. So now I've got the B the outer part of the B is complete. All right. I don't need that over there. Node editing. Get rid of that. Letter D for delete that. And I'm going to work on the B by itself first, and then I'll do the O. All right, we'll take this line and come on, grab that line. Go to selector tool, grab that line, bring it over to there. And then I need to connect those two. All right, there's a couple ways you can do this. Like I said, there's always another way. Sometimes, like here, I can go with these two pieces here and start taking the nodes apart and edit them out and cutting them and joining them. There's a quick way to do that. I want to join these two pieces right here with an arc. Well, what has the arc in it? So if I grab that and bring it up here and kind of position it where I want it to be, stretch it out, where I start to get it in the position, kind of get it in the shape that I want it to be in. All right, that's starting to look like that makes a good corner or a good curve up there. Now I'll use my scissor tools. Come in here and I'll get rid of that and that and that and that. All right, and now I've still got my arc for the letter O. So to keep that, I'm gonna grab me a pencil tool, or the letter O. I'm gonna come right up here and I'm gonna just draw a straight line from there down here and stop it there. Then go into the node editing for that line, and I'm just going to curve that line out to match that arc. Get it really close. All right, that's close enough for what I need right now. So now I can go back in here to this one, node editing, and I can just get rid of all of those nodes. Got to get that over to here. Don't want to join that one. I want to get rid of that. And I want to join those two. All right. And I'll do the same thing down here. I'll draw me a straight line from here up to about there. Node editing, select that line and curve it to match. That maintains that arc. Another way I could have joined these together down here is take this piece and just stretched it, overlapped it. Ain't quite where I want it to be, but that's okay. And then this one, I'll go into node editing and grab these nodes, grabbed a whole bunch of them, and I'm going to just move them down to where they overlap. They don't have to be perfect. Grab that one and put it up there. I'll bend that line, that curve, and curve that a little bit. And come down here and grab that single piece and put it there. Get rid of those. Put that one on the line. All right. So there's my B. So now I'll use my scissors. Cut that away, cut that away. Cut. Let's see. I don't want to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of there. Come on. That put a hump in there. That's fine. Get rid of that one. And now I can use the selector tool to select that line. Nope, that's still not, that didn't get joined down there. Go back into node editing. Oh, didn't want to hit the delete button. Control Z to undo. Select those and hit the letter D. And just keep doing that. And there we go. And that needs to come down here. We're going to get rid of that one, letter D, and we'll make that one join up with that one. And now I've got a little bit of something right there we need to get rid of and delete that. So now I've got that arc of the O that's separate. This should be one solid piece, and you can check edit. Closed path is grayed out. So it's already it's a closed path. Check this one. Go up here to edit. It's grayed out. So everything's connected. So and let's check this one. Edit. It's grayed out. So that and that is my letter B. And we'll go ahead and temporarily group that. I may have to undo that in a second. So there's my letter B. Now I need to fix my letter O. But I need to fix this overlap for that letter B. So let's take that piece right there, and we're going to duplicate that, because anytime you're going to take and use a piece as a cutting tool, as a cookie cutter, it's a disposable piece. You get to use it one time. We're extremely wasteful in Lightburn. We don't believe in being able to use things more than one time. So we're going to create a duplicate of this so we can use it to cut out that area of that letter B where it's going to overlap, and then it's going to be gone. So we need to duplicate it. Let's see here. When joining the nodes, do you just place one on top of the other? Yeah, you once you put them right on top of the other, they'll automatically connect 90% of the time. They don't always do that. That's why I went to look and make sure that they were closed paths, because you can get them one on top of the other and it just doesn't want to lock up for whatever reason. But if you go up and say closed path, it'll join them up. But most of the time they'll close up automatically. All right, so back over here. So I've got my letter B, but now here's the problem. That's just a line that goes up there to there. And that's just a line from there to there. Well, that's not going to engrave. That's got to be part of the letter O, and it has to be its own separate shape. Easy peasy. This is the easy part to do. I'm going to go in and grab my pencil tool, and I'm going to come down here to where that line's at, get my crosshairs, and I'm going to come up over here, and then I'm going to come up here, over here, and then down to there. So now that's a big solid shape, but I need it just to be that inner piece of that O. So that's where we use our Boolean tools. And if we're using our Boolean tools, what did I just say? We're going to use one of them as a cookie cutter. So we got to make a duplicate. So I'm going to duplicate this. Oh, I need to ungroup. I told you I would be ungrouping that. So I need a duplicate of that. Control D. That's duplicated. It's already selected. Hold my shift key and select that oddball piece and go over here to my Boolean assistant. And do I want the intersection? Yes, I do. And say OK. So now that, if I duplicate it and pull it to the side, you can see that's a solid shape now that's going to engrave, and that's going to engrave on whatever settings I tell it to do for the letter O. So done. I just got to do the same thing up here. I'm going to go grab my pencil, and I'll come over here and just draw straight, and I missed that. So I'll come up here, get my crosshairs right there, and then come down, come across, up here, and get, there we go. And then if you're not sure if it's closed or not, you just go to edit and look. If that's grayed out, if it's not an option, here we can convert it to bitmap. We don't want to do it. But see, you can't do anything there. That's because it's already a closed path. So duplicate, and we'll get rid of this guy for now. We're done with him. So grab that, duplicate it, because that's going to be our cookie cutter. It's already selected. Hold shift, grab that, go to your Boolean assistant, and is it intersection? Yes, it is. Done. All right, so now we've got one side of the O correct. We got the letter B correct. Now I just got to clean up here where they extend and start overlapping each other. That part of the letter O, that curve, that needs to go bye-bye. This all needs to go bye-bye. In fact, I want to keep, well, we'll see. We'll see. I might be able to delete all that. But first, I need to fix this overlapping part right here. I need to cut that out of the letter B. So if that is going to be the cookie cutter, I got to duplicate it, hold shift and grab the letter B. And now I don't know if it's intersection. Nope, it's not intersection. This is going to be the subtraction. There we go. Subtract B from A because of the order I selected them. It's B from A, and say OK. And so now that is when I select it. That's the B and the O overlap, and that will allow me to give that differentiation between the letter O and the B, different great engraving styles. All right. If that's the case, then this is the line that's no longer going to be used, but it goes, all right. In fact, it looks like I don't need that at all. So I think I can delete that. And we'll come down here and look at this too. Oh, not that one. Yeah, get rid of that. That's done. Now I need to fix this part, and I can do the same thing with the cookie cutter aspect. The B is going to overlap that. If I could grab my nodes, I'm going to come down here. That node is right on the line of that, and that's fine. So I'm going to come over here. Oh, there's another node. I thought that was, there we go. I'll drag that node as far as I can right there. There we go. And then with that node fixed on that line, if I extend that handle out, grab those and just pull those up. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's got to be close. And then get all of those and just drag it up over the B, anywhere above it. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Grab these and bring it up so that it overlaps. Oh, I didn't want to move that corner. So let's put insert a node right. Oh, I moved it. Control Z. Insert letter I. That locks that point from moving. Now I can grab all of these and bring it up and overlap it. So now that, oh, that's overlapped everywhere. So if I use my letter B as my cookie cutter, I got to duplicate it, hold shift and select that one, and then go look at the Boolean assistant. And that's the one I want right there. Not the union. Yeah, I don't want a union. Don't want that one. I think that's the one I want. There's another subtraction. So done. Okay. So now that O continues around up through there. And let's see. I got 2 lines. All right. So that's that one. And that's the one I want to keep. So if I come down here, look at this one. I need that too. So I've got to, actually, I need that one worse than I need the other one. I'll modify this one to match that. So I'll go into node editing, grab a couple of nodes. Insert one right here, letter I, and then bring that back over here to that corner. There we go. All right, so that takes care of that. So now that can go away. Or actually just delete it. Done. Now that's deleted. I'm going to take my letter B and I'm going to duplicate it again, Control D, and grab the letter O and go into my Boolean assistant and that one and say OK. So now that looks about as good as I can get. That's got a little wonky out there. So watch this. It's not a real clean curve, but watch how easy this is to fix. I'm going to duplicate that. Control D, duplicate it. Then with that duplication, I'm going to go to the nodes, and that duplication is, or those, that node editing right now is only that duplication. All of these up here, I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to hit the letter D to delete them. And I'm going to get right here, and I'm going to delete them. And I'm going to come down here and delete them. And I'm going to go ahead and get all of these down here too. Don't want to get up in the middle. Just all of those. There we go. Now that I've got that all deleted, and that's a straight line, I can just grab that line and start bending it out here. And that's one long arc. And I'm going to match it up with that letter O, the original, as close as I can get it right there. And I can grab this handle and bend it on out. I may need to add some more nodes to get it as smooth as possible. In fact, that looks good right there. So I'm going to come over here and hit the letter I for insert. That locks that in position. Now I can start dragging. Oh, I don't want to do that because it moves the other side. So I'll move this one and insert a node right here. I, and continue just moving that one. And that looks pretty good. So now I'll zoom in and select that one and delete it. So that cleaned that whole side of that O up and got rid of all those extra nodes and made it a little bit more uniform. Nice and round and smooth. Now, it looks like we've got everything done. I'm going to put, all right, that is in fill mode. But the problem is, if I go in here and I select this and I look at my got a selector tool, I go look at my preview. I'm back to where I was at, where everything's just a big black blob, and he wants to see that differentiation between the two letters. Well, now that we've got everything separated, it's easy enough to take the letter O, put it on one layer, take the letter B, put it on another layer, and then we're going to give it different speeds, powers, line intervals, and create some differentiation between the two letters. And because we took the time to cut out all those pieces, there's no two pieces that are truly overlapping. So you're not going to have a double burn in any one area. So let's go back over here, and we're going to get the letter B, which is those two and this one. That's the letter B. And let's put it like on his image. It was on gold. So it was on black and gold. All right. And I'm going to move this out the way. Actually, I can go ahead and get rid of it. So now I've got two layers, black and gold, just like his original image. And let's go look and see what he requested. He said, close that. The O dark and the B much lighter. All right. So the O is on the black layer. I'm just going to leave it in a solid fill, and 254 lines per inch is good. Now the B, he wanted it to be lighter. So if I'm going to get this out of here so you can see the whole setup. Here is exact same 820 and 10. If I'm doing this on the 10 watt and I want it really, really dark, this might be one of the settings I might use. You'll need to use your speed and power settings for your laser, but this is not talking about engraving. We're talking about technique. But right now, if I was to do those two layers, they're going to have the exact same speed and power. And if I look at it, it's going to look, well, I had a different line interval. I didn't catch that. There we go. 0.8 or I forget what that was. 0.1 or 0.01. 0.01. No, dag nabbit. 254. 254. No, there, I've got it backward. 0.1. There we go. And now we look at the preview. See, back to the same thing again. And now that I've got that, I can see that it's a little bit of a wonky right there. You can clean that up with node editing. But what I need to do is I need to create some definition between two letters. So I'm going to leave the black one alone. It's going to be really dark and black. You wanted this one lighter. First thing you can do is change your lines per inch. So instead of a 0.1, I'll do, let's say, actually, let's do it this way. Instead of 254 lines per inch, let's cut it in half. Say 125 lines per inch. And right now it's still just on a bidirectional fill, and say, okay, and go look at the preview. Still not a whole lot of difference. Cut it in half again and say 75 lines per inch. And preview. Still getting, not a whole lot of definition going on, but you're starting to see the different letters. So let's say 50 lines per inch. And preview. 30. But if you start to see now we've got fewer and fewer lines, the B doesn't have any definition around the perimeter. So the more we reduce our lines per inch, we're going to have to do something in order to give it some definition. And to do that, we need to add another layer, a sub-layer to this layer. And to do the sub-layer, you hit your plus sign over here. That adds another sub-layer. So we've got our fill line. Now this, I'm going to leave it in line mode. And when you look at it, you've got your lines per inch, and then you've got a definition or a defining line around the perimeter of the letter B. So now you're starting to see some real definition between the two letters. But let's take it on down some more. And let's just say 10 lines per inch. Say okay, and preview. All right, now that's definitely going to be a lighter and darker, but I don't want to see those horizontal lines like that. I'm going to give it a crosshatch. Turn this crosshatch on and say okay, and then go in and look at it. And now you're starting to see something like that. And if you don't want to see that checkerboard feel like that, go in and change your scan angle. Right now, the scan angle is 0. Let's tell it 22 degrees. And say OK. And preview. That gives it a little bit more character. And maybe say, okay, you know what? That's too much space. Let's tell it 18 lines per inch. And there you go. I think that's looking pretty good. Now, depending on how your LPI and what you end up going with is going to really depend on how large of an image you're engraving. If you're doing a really, really small piece, then you're going to need less lines per inch. But if you're doing it quite large, if you do the less lines per inch you're going to see bigger gaps. So anyway, that is how I would have taken a really poor piece of artwork to begin with to create that separation and definition and have the letter tucked in up here, tucked in here, but overlapping here. And like I said, I come in here and I'll clean those nodes up a little bit. In fact, come in here and do the same thing. Grab that, duplicate it, go to node editing. See right there is that bump. Let's just grab these right here and hit the letter D for delete. That makes it a straight line. Now just grab that line and curve it down. That looks pretty good. I'll select that Humpty Bumpty one and delete it. That clean that up. Up here, whole bunch of nodes, and a whole bunch of nodes right there too, but we're going to do one at a time. Duplicate it, Control D, duplicate it, and then get rid of those. Letter D for delete, and bend that. And I don't want to get that one. I'm going to leave that one in place so it has an anchor. Delete those, letter D, and bend that down. And let's clean up some of these because that's angles all over the place. Grab all those, letter D for delete, and bend that down a little bit. And let's delete that one. And we can't start messing with this in here without it affecting the letter B. But that right there looks a whole lot cleaner, a whole lot smoother. Preview. Alrighty. So, Jim, if you're still with us, I will send this to you via email in the Lightburn file, obviously. And then you can play with the different line intervals and angles. And then, of course, if you've got you a nice test pattern, you already know, what powers you can get really, really dark and then use a lowered speed, different powers to make it both lighter and color, and also change the engraven, really get a very distinct difference between your O and your B. So that's what I wanted to show today. Did I miss any questions? So I got Peter's. I didn't see any other questions since Peter's. Thought maybe make the B a line. Oh, that you could do that instead of a fill. You could just do it in a line mode. That'd be a really, really distinct difference between the two. And at this point, that's just as simple as you've got it on that layer. Just change that to line mode. Or since it's double layer right now, we got to get rid of that. Or let's turn that layer off just right here. So I've got both sub layers set up, and here's something that you may not realize you can do. I've got this set up right now for, and let's say you need to ask the opinion of the person you're doing this for. Ohio Banquets might want to see two different options. Check how easy this is. I've got it set up with the fill layer and then a sub layer with the line after fill. So I'm going to say cancel anything right there. I'm going to go over here to my preview screen, and I've got that, and I want to tell it to save image. And I'm going to save it in, I'm going to save it just for ease today. I'm going to put it in my download folder, and I'm going to call it Gem1, not Jom, Gem1, and save. And then I'll close that. Then I'll come back over here to my layers without deleting any of that. I'm just going to tell this layer, the fill layer, not to output. I'm going to turn this off. Output sub layer. I turned that off. It's still there. I just turned it off. Now when I go and look at the preview, it didn't do that. All it did was send out that line layer. And I'll say save image. And I want to tell it save as Gem2 and save. And close. So now I can come back over here and go back to that sub layer and turn it on and say output. Now it's back. It never went anywhere. saved it. So now, oh, I didn't say okay. Turn that back on, output sublayer, and say okay. There we go. And now when you look at it, it's back to that. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to say file, save as, and I'm going to put it in the downloads. Yep. And I'm going to say Gem OH or OB rather. Ohio Banquets, Gem OB, save. And now I can go back to my email and reply to Jim with attachments from my downloads, the file, and both pieces of artwork open. Here you go. Turn off my cap so I ain't yelling at him. Here you go. And send. So now he has two different representations of what it could look like from the preview screen and the Lightburn file as well. Something new? No, multi-layers has been around for a long time. Ever since I started, they've had multi-layers. And being able to turn them on and off and not having to actually delete them. Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys have hung around. I appreciate you hanging around and love seeing all those high numbers. Is that an offset fill? No, I didn't do an offset fill. It was just fill mode with an increased line interval in order to create that checkerboard look in a cross hatch. You'll have to just watch the replay, go back and look at all that. It's just in fill mode with an increased line interval in a cross hatch with a line after fill to fill in all of that and give it the definition. So, and love it. That's the reason I do this, guys. I've spent a whole lot of time this week, working on the CNC and creating a new calculator. And I just touch on what I'm tonight at 9:00 Eastern time. I'll be Hobo with wood chips at 9 tonight. And we will talk about all the advances I made in the CNC stuff. Let's see here. And I'm curious, Ed, if did you have a chance to watch the firmware update video? And did you update your firmware? Did it take care of all your problems? How long have I been doing this stuff? I didn't know anything about Lightburn. I've never used any graphics design work or software like this ever until I started with my lasers. And I started, a little over 3 years ago is when I started the Hobo with Wood channel. My very first Hobo with Wood video is me standing on the front porch waiting on the postman to walk up and hand me my first laser in a box on Father's Day, Sunday. It was the craziest thing. It was a Sunday afternoon and it was Father's Day. So it was Sunday and a holiday, and the U.S. Postal Service was bringing me the laser. I'm like, what are you doing working on a holiday and a Sunday? But I jumped in head first and just embraced, because I did a Google research about the best software for controlling lasers, and you've got all kinds of options out there, but Lightburn by far was the highest mentioned, and everybody raved about it. Cost was right. It was intimidating as all get out, and nodes scared the far out of me. But doing stuff like this forces you to get comfortable with it. And always remember, Control Z. You can undo what you just did. You didn't. And if you do, along the path as you're learning, you create copies and save, bookmark where you're at. So if you have to start over, you from a certain point, you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. So let's see here. Steve says, okay, got it. Now what do I do after the image is copied? It is not a reduced line. It is not a reduced line interval. No, increased. I'm sorry. No, it is a reduced line interval. It's a reduced line interval because a completely filled image is with a dot size of a 0.08 is 318 lines per inch, or 254 lines per inch is about as low as you can go and have it completely filled. But you're lowering your interval from 300 and something down all the way down to 20, and I always confuse and say line interval and lines per inch, because line interval, I think, is they're talking about how many lines per millimeter, and then LPI is lines per inch. But I am going to a much, much lower number per millimeter or per inch. So I am reducing the line interval. I'm reducing the number of lines, increasing the interval. Is that right? I'm decreasing the number of lines, increasing the interval. So yeah, I guess it's not reducing the interval. It's reducing the number of lines. One of your best videos, pleasure, and see you solve a task, something opposite I would have done. There's always more. Yeah, there's always more. And that's what I was trying to do. Is like, I tried to show multiple ways of accomplishing this outcome, because there's a ton of ways to get from A to Z. You can do it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, or you can say A, Z. You got there. It's just a matter of what your brain can comprehend. How much will your brain allow you to do? And how many ways do you know how many different shortcuts to accomplish multiple things at one time? I updated and I got rid of those problems, but I have to learn the software. Yeah, well, that's all of us, Ed. But I'm glad that it got rid of the gremlins. I'm glad, and I hope you can make it tonight. Have you got a video how to calibrate the Rolly? Tried calibrating, but keeps running out of the y-axis. I don't know that that's a calibration issue so much as it is your software setup issue. What we can do, Dennis, is that Dennis? That's it. Yeah, Dennis. I don't have time this afternoon, but if you email me, hobowithwood@gmail.com, we can try and set up a time next week that we can do an online Zoom meeting, be through this same StreamYard here. And we can check a few things in your Lightburn settings, because it may be something as simple as I just went brain dead. There. Yeah, it could be either your job origins, you've got not using absolute coordinates or something. It could be a settings issue within, if you're using Lightburn, that's causing it to crash. So it could be more of a settings issue, Dennis. So send me an email and we can coordinate and set up a time next week to see if we can't get to the bottom of it. Because I doubt very seriously you've got an issue with the Rolly. I doubt it. It's probably a settings issue. All right, let's see here. Question. Well, Peter, I'm glad, and I hope you learned quite a few things. You have confused the heck out of me now, but I understand what you're trying to achieve. uh, yeah. In fact, let's go back there. I'll get to you here just one second, Nipa. Let's go back there a second. Let's go over here, and we'll go back into that setting. All right. So, I just didn't mean to do that. But, all right. So I got 20 lines per inch. And actually, you know what? Let's go back to, we'll go to the black one. All right. So it's in a fill mode, and it has 254 lines per inch, or or the line interval, the spacing between the successive lines emitted by the laser. There's only 1/10 of 1 millimeter between every line that the laser is engraving. So if I increase that number, I decrease the number of lines per inch, but I am increasing the spacing between the lines. And so they look at, they define those differently, but they're accomplishing the same thing. Your line interval is the space between the lines. Then lines per inch is just what it sounds like. It's how many lines per inch. So as I decrease my number of lines, I am increasing my line interval. Now is it as clear as mud? Nipa says, how do I resize the lantern on your website? I need to make it bigger. All right. That's easy. And let's see, what time is it? All right. We got just a few more minutes because it is 4:25. I am meeting one of you at a restaurant at 5 for dinner, meeting Robert at 5 for dinner. So I can't be here much longer, but I'm going to show you how easy this is, Nipa. And Chris followed up. Remember it by less is more. Less lines is more white space between lines. Yep. Yeah, and he says, yeah, it's just a matter of getting your head around it. It's well, and you're talking about struggling to get your head wrapped around something. And I'm working, figuring out V-bit inlays and maximizing and getting just a perfect inlay. So this one down here was a test, and it didn't do so well. I actually used the settings that was suggested in MillMage, and I said, I don't like that. So I used my settings. And there is absolutely no gap between now and it's absolute perfect. And it's just a matter. I've struggled for the last 2.5 weeks trying to get my mind to comprehend how V-bit inlays work. Now I'm going to talk more about that tonight at 9. But let's go over here and look at the lantern file for the lovely Miss Nipa. And let's go. All right, so I've already sent that. I'm gonna get rid of that after all that work, and I'm just going. But I saved it. I delete. It's gone, and I don't need it. But boy, that was hour, and we got it looking good. All right, lantern file. All right, actually, before I pull it up, or while I'm pulling up, Nipa, how big are you wanting to make the lantern? How big? How tall do you want it to be completely assembled? And I'm going to go here. I'm going to say file, new, discard everything, file, open, desktop e-commerce lantern file. We'll go to the lantern template. Lantern template. Say okay. Done. And open. Open. All right. So there's my lantern template. And Nipa says fully assembled. She wants it to be 10 inches tall. All right. And Chris, I've already redone it again. I'm on version 5 now, but yeah, take a look at it. I've got it even dialed in even tighter now. All right. So Nipa, if I look at this image right here, I just opened it up. And if I grab one of these panels, it shows me in inches, since you said 10 inches. In inches, this one's only 5.8, or say 6 inches for that panel. Then you've got to add in the base plus these pieces if you're wanting a complete overall height of 10 inches. Because these are the pieces that stick up above. Each one of these is going to be 3 millimeters. And this is 1.5 inches. And you've got 6 mil. So that's about 2 inches, give or take, in overall height. Actually, plus these two, about 2.5 inches. So the base, the top, the roof, the little, I don't know, belfry up there, and then that's about 2.5, and this is 6. So right now, it fully assembled, it would probably come in at around 8.5 inches. So I want to make this 10 inches tall, about. By me looking at this right now and saying, okay, well, this is, and if you've made any, oh, here we go. I got one right here. If you've made any from the file as is, you can take and measure that. And I'm not measuring from the top of the kitty because you may or may not use that. We'll go from there to there. And actually, the whole thing is about 7 inches, give or take. So if that's 7 inches and you want to make it 10, how much have I got to increase it? Here we go. Calculator. And well, that's actually really easy math. So currently at 7 inches and you want to be 10, then it's about 70% of the height that you want it to be. So how much do you need to increase it? It's not 30% because you do 30% of 70 or 7. 7 times 1.3, only be 9 inches. So you need to increase it 3 more inches. So 3 inches, that's it. So about another 40%. Oh, go away. So calculator, 7 times 1.4. Yeah. So or actually, that'd only be about 9.8. So I think I'd seen something about Chris. He said increase it by about 50%. And that would be about right. Or no, let's see. I don't know what they were talking about. It was something else. All right. So you might want to increase it by about 50%. So when you do your enlarging on any file, you need to do it all. So select the entire thing and tell it you need to resize it, and you want it to be aspect ratio locked, and you want to resize it to 150%. Now you just made that the size that you need it to be, except none of your slots and tabs are where they need to be. But because I design in Lightburn, I work in Lightburn, all of my files are Lightburn friendly. Now you can take and use the resize slots and shapes tool to resize your slots and tabs and shapes and slots and to your 3 millimeter wood or whatever, and it's going to come out to be right about 10 inches. So that's fairly easy. It's 430. All right. I've seen some other. Can you change the orientation on how the art library saves the icons? Because I have 3 that are portrait, but all the others are landscape. I don't know that it recognizes. You got me there. That's I want, without seeing exactly what your situation is, Dale. It's hard for me to answer that question. I'm gonna go over here to art library, and I'm gonna pull up some of my artwork. There we go. And let's get rid of this. And all right. Switch. So here's my plaques library. I'm going to separate that below where I can make it a little bit bigger. And you can see some of the artwork in here might be what you would consider portrait. Some of it's landscape. That I would say would be portrait. That's landscape.
What time you leaving?
We're getting ready to go right now. So go ahead. If you go ahead and get ready and get shoes on, we'll get ready to walk out the door in just a minute. So that would be landscape. That'd be portrait. So I don't know why or what you're seeing that is, because it's going to bring it in. However, like I said, that's what it looks like, and that looks like it's landscape. But those look like portrait because of the shape of the actual art. If it's doing something funky to you, I don't understand. Without seeing what your problem is, I don't have a good answer for you. And Chris says only by rotating the art before saving it. Sort of loud bang. I hope nothing's broke or nobody's hurt. Everybody okay? Hold on. Everybody okay? All right, I'm wrapping it up. I got to be out the hillbillies at 5. Oh boy. All right, everybody's okay. So John says if you rotate it before saving it, all right. So let's go. Let's see if that changes it. I don't know if that. Hey, I guess it will change it, but you're going to be seeing it differently in your art library. Art library window. So if I bring, let's go park this again. There we go. And let's reduce that so I can see them. So if I bring this one in, and it's in a landscape orientation because the side or the shape of it, if I rotate that to portrait like that, and I'm going to import it, and I'm going to call it test, and say okay. So yeah, so there, that's in landscape, that's in portrait, but it's obviously not oriented correctly. But I don't know if that's exactly your situation. Delete from library. Yes. All right. Keeping a complete aspect ratio. Keep everything. Because you're saying just increase the panels by 3 inch. you could stretch just those panels out, but it'd still be, then it'd be really tall and skinny. I don't know that it would look that good. But yeah, you could, Yahoo! You always have other options. You could just stretch just those panels out. As Radu says, Nipa, just take those 7 inches and stretch out the side panels additional 3 inches. You'll need to make sure you resize your slots and tabs again, because unless you actually stretch and move the nodes, whenever you stretch the piece, it will resize those slots and tabs. But yeah, that's another way to do it. But if you want to keep everything, if you want to keep the actual aspect ratio the same, all the dimensions proportional, then you increase it by the percentage. If you rotate it and then save it, if you rotate it and save it, won't it save it in that perspective? Yeah. Yeah, but it'll be on its side. Yeah, and stretches your images too. So, but I was working with the, and that's a good, I was working with the template there. So the template had nothing in there. But if Nipa has this lantern and she's wanting to make it 10 inches tall and you only stretched the side panels, then you're going to be like silly putty. All the images are going to be stretched, elongated. So to maintain everything, you do it everything by percentage and keep your aspect ratio locked. All right, boys and girls, I got to call it because I got to go meet somebody and I got to be back here again at 9. And Chris, like I said, I've already played with that calculator some more. I keep playing with that thing and I've really got it dialed in. The thing is, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I want to fully watching Garrett and some of his videos, he's got really, really, really good advice. And on one of his inlay videos is and he's using Vectric. He's like, just use these values. People have got all kinds of options out there, but just use these values. Trust me, they work. Don't worry about it. Just use these, they work. Well, that kind of information, while it's good and it's valid, it works for Vectric in that situation. I want to know why. I'm that guy who I need to understand. I want to see how the sausage is made and fully understand it. So I've created this calculator and I've actually did some Google searches and I even asked AI, I said, is there a calculator like mine anywhere? Can you find one on the internet? And I couldn't find anything in Google. AI couldn't find anything. The AI found multiple instances of spreadsheets and different tables that could provide some of the similar information, but AI could not find and Google could not find a fully functional calculator like I've created that works in real-time computations and it be completely customizable. So I've either created something that's really super cool or I've just created a fix for a problem that doesn't exist. I don't know. But it helps me. And I have learned so much going down this road to understand how it all works that now I've got a much better comprehending of VBit inlays than I would have if I had not gone down this road to figure out this calculator. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for coming and hanging out. And we'll see you. If you're into CNCs or you just want to see what's going on, come on over at 9 tonight Eastern, and we'll see you then. I'm out.